Danny Pellegrino, Danny Murphy, and I, like we were just saying, we are so excited to finally have you on the podcast. Obviously, we are obsessed with your Bravo hot takes, but we're also obsessed with your new book, The Jolliest Bunch. I mean, you really kind of
Thank you,
are becoming
boys.
like you're the new reason for the season. Like Mariah
Oh
got,
my God.
oh, come on.
I don't think Mariah has anything to worry about, but I'm so excited to be here and see you boys because I saw you at Bravo. You know, everything it was crazy at BravoCon, right? Like it was sensory overload, and I felt like I couldn't really say hi and spend time with the people that I wanted to, but it was just a lot.
It
Anyway,
was so much. And I think you just get so tired where there was a moment where I was like looking at you from across the room and in my head, I was like, hi, but I
right,
like
right. We had a
lost
whole
the ability to
conversation
say a word.
through
Yeah.
our heads. Yeah.
And then like I woke up the next day, I was like, what did it just happen? I was like, I have no clue, but I'm glad we're all here now.
I felt that way about I saw Dave Quinn like in the press room or something for from across the way, and I really did feel like we had a conversation. Then the next day, I was like, "Oh my God, like I know you, Dave," and we were sitting across from each other, but we didn't even get to have a conversation because it was just so chaotic. Anyway,
Yeah, BravoCon was really freaking chaotic. It was so weird too, because I felt like as all the Bravo celebrities coming down the red carpet, like I just kept having flashbacks of like all the Bravo things that have happened this year. And it's kind of insane how many big stories broke out of the Bravoverse. I mean, Scandival was just the beginning, but then we had like Kyle and Mauricio, we had Carl and Lindsay. I feel like I'm forgetting something right now, but when you look back at your 2023 in Bravo, what is kind of the standout for you?
the rose and thorn, if you will.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yes.
Ah. I don't know. It's been a great year for Bravo. You know, every time people try to eulogize Bravo or say it's done, it's like we have something like Scandival. I mean, even just specifically that show, I think I myself was eulogizing it at one point because it felt like it was on its way out. It was terrible, and they had a couple bad seasons there. It seemed like they were going to get canceled, and then that happens, and or you go to something like BravoCon and you realize like, no, this thing ain't going anywhere. And also just looking at it from a branding perspective is really fascinating to me because there's no other things really on in pop culture in the television landscape that has that kind of appeal. So I forget where I was just reading something, an article, but they were talking about how um, it's good to be in the Bravo business because even if you look at something like the world of The Bachelor, which that always kind of was the thing that I related Bravo most to because they
Mm-hmm.
have also that kind of fan base. It's still not even, I don't think, as much as the Bravo fan base. I mean, you go to BravoCon and you see the way people are, and it's just, I don't know, it's fascinating. So I thought it was a fantastic year for Bravo. I think like sort of my high points, I think Scandival was like thrilling television. It's hard to kind of look at it objectively because it was such a big cultural moment, and so it was simultaneously like exhausting and thrilling and just so many things. But I think if I were to go back in 2 years or something and watch some of those episodes at the end of Vanderpump Rules, I still think they'll be like really great episodes of TV.
100%. I'm also now dying when you were like how Bravo is the only place that like has this fandom. I would LOL if like 2024 though. There's like TBS Con, like
Right.
all these shows where I'm like, wait, no, I'm a TBS head till the day I die.
Yes, yes. And I'm a big holiday movie person. Obviously, my book is called The Jolliest Bunch. And so
Yes.
I do love like the Hallmark world and that fan base. People might be rolling their eyes when I say this, but they do like Christmas Con. And there are a lot of similarities because I love those cheesy Hallmark Christmas movies. And they've branded it such that the fan base is like kind of involved or it's got that kind of fever pitch that I think Bravo does.
Oh, 100%. And I'm also kind of wondering because like you are pillars of both Bravo world and now Christmas holiday
Right.
world, which is a lot of fun, but very overwhelming. Kind of like you get stressed kind of watching both of them and also being through the holiday season, even if, Holly and Jolly. What like which one has exhausted you more this year? And I know we're still kind of
Oh
in the holiday
God.
season, but has Bravo drained you more or has preparing and now experiencing the holiday time right now?
Maybe a little bit of both. The weird thing about the holiday book was that I was writing it not during holiday time, and then it even came out at the end of October. So Halloween hadn't even happened, and I was like doing a tour for it, or I don't know. It was like weird. So I feel like I've just been in holiday mode forever. So I'm a little bit ready to inch my way out of holiday mode. But yeah, I'll miss it immediately. Just the same way with Bravo. It's like you get so exhausted by a season of a Bravo show, and I don't know if you boys feel this way, but it's like I'm ready for it to end. And then it ends, and 2 weeks later, I'm like, man, I miss Miami women or whoever.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, they're both exhausting.
I just finished your book actually, Danny,
Thanks,
and
Evan.
it's just like candy. Like it's so good. It's so easily digestible. It is like my like I couldn't get enough of it, especially the chapter about the Jessica Simpson dessert lotion disaster. Obviously, I wore my Jessica Simpson shirt today in honor of you because
Wait,
I
is that a real? What is? Can you zoom out a little bit? What is this picture? It's
it's
Jessica.
from the
Oh,
reality tour.
look how beautiful she looks.
So,
Uh,
so beautiful. So yeah, in this skin era, dessert line era, for people who haven't read the book, can you just sort of like summarize this story for our listeners because it truly is just
I
so
would
good.
love nothing more to get to talk to you about Jessica Simpson's edible body care products, which
Yeah.
were from the early aughts. Those people who watch Newlyweds might remember there was like an episode of the show where she had been hawking this product, which uh, millennials probably remember. It was like body lotion or lickable, like body glitter, like stuff. It was sort of marketed towards young people as like sexy, edible, and I wanted it so badly when I was a teen and when I was in high school, I think it was when it came out. And it was featured on the show famously because an episode where she was doing like the promo for it, she got a stomach ache because had too many cupcakes. People should
foreshadowing
really
for you. Go on.
People should really be rewatching Newlyweds. It's on YouTube in chunks, but it's really fantastic. So anyway, yes, though I wanted it so badly, and one of the things that kind of came up a lot in the book is this idea of buying your child self gifts. So it's like as a gay person, especially, I think we have a lot of interest growing up when we're closeted that we are afraid to embrace, and so in my adulthood, started to embrace some of those things that I wanted. One of those things was like Jessica's lickable body products, and I wanted them so badly. And my significant other had got me them for Christmas one time, and I didn't really realize this was very recently. Got me the products, and uh, I got really stoned one day and one evening, and I started having some. And then chaos ensued. And you're obviously not supposed to have expired products, but also when you're stoned, you're not supposed to be like I don't even think back in 2003 you were supposed to be eating that stuff. It was like lickable. That was how it was marketed. Let you lick it, then you go away and you eat a full meal somewhere else. Anyway, so it caused people can read a little more about it in the book, but
Now
chaos and
my question is, have we reached out to Jay Sims to be like, no, ma'am, I have a hospital bill. I love
right.
you. I'm not asking for anything besides maybe a 50-50 lick split, something going on here.
I love my queen so much. I tried her so hard, you guys, to get her on my show. And there's been like so many times where it's almost happened, or, I've been trying to, and then it falls through every time, or it can't happen. So yeah, one day, I mean, I would love to tell her and also have her foot the bill because
Yeah.
it ultimately led to my appendix bursting.
Wait, I do. Okay, so that's
That
one thing
is
that
insane.
Well,
I
I mean, I sort of joke about that in the book. We don't know that it actually was that, but yeah, but
yes,
probably.
that was so wild because you ate Jessica Simpson's dessert body lickable lotion. You had your appendix removed and you didn't necessarily need it removed, but I guess it's like you're preemptively saving yourself from appendicitis.
Well, ultimately when I did go to the hospital, I did have it did burst. I did have
Oh, it did. It did.
appendicitis. It
Okay.
did. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But we don't, and so it's hard with the appendix. People don't really know exactly like what causes it. So yeah, I joke in the book that it was probably from Jessica's expired body lotion, but I don't, I have stomach stuff. And so, yeah, we don't know exactly. But with the appendix, they don't tell you anything. They're just like, oh, we got to remove it. Like you go to the doctor and they're like, we're taking out an organ. And you don't even have time to consider, like, should I be doing this? Or obviously you just listen. I listen to a
Oh,
doctor, whatever they say. I'm like, okay, do whatever you think.
I'm also a self-proclaimed dumb idiot. I don't know what single. If a
Me
doctor could say
either.
all these words to me, if it's over 2 syllables, I'm like, here's my I don't know. I don't know what
Right.
you
Give
want
me
me to
the
do.
morphine and you do what you need to do.
Full evanescence. Yes, exactly. But I do, and I do love. Are there any other? Because obviously you have all these like pop culture icons, and I'm shocked that Jessica hasn't come on your
Uh,
podcast because you do sing her praises. But also you have so many like A-list guests that do come on. But besides Jay Sims, who in 2024 do you hope to be conversing with?
Yeah, I've really wanted JC Chazet too. Another
Oh,
signal of the early 2000s, I
yes.
suppose. But yeah, so he would be at the top of my list. I've tried really hard. Meg Ryan is at the top of my list. She would be a dream. Mariah Carey,
Oh,
Cher. There, you know, like any kind of diva.
I feel Meg Ryan, you have to just come to New York for 2 weeks. She's always like eating in Tribeca and Soho. I feel I
I'm there.
always, yes,
Yeah.
I feel like she's always just like at a table for two, looking very Meg Ryan-y. Yes.
I felt like I was very close when she just had this new movie come out, but ultimately it didn't work out.
Think it's gonna work out. I know Jessica Simpson is gonna work out for you in the future. Now, Danny, I do love how you frequently ask your guests what their favorite Mariah Carey song is. And I am just so curious, what is your favorite Jessica Simpson song? Because I do feel like there are so many underrated gems in her discography. I know every album inside and out, and I do love the little nod to the sweetest sin that you gave in your book because I feel like that's one that is criminally underrated. So what's kind of
Yes.
how like between like Irresistible and With You and I Think I'm in Love with You, like where like what's your order?
You know, I would probably say Irresistible. It just came at a time like that shift into just very blatant pop that she did there. I was just at the right age for that to hit, right? And the follow-up single to that album was A Little Bit, and I love that song, underrated. And then yeah, Sweetest Sin. I mean, it's hard to pick, but I would say Irresistible is probably the one that I put on and it drives me wild.
Oh.
Yeah. How
Yeah,
about you guys?
I okay, so that's actually really hard for me. Obviously, I love Irresistible, and when she walked out of that elevator, full spray tan abs, like she had the darker hair happening. It was giving Britney light in the best possible way
Mhm.
because Britney is and will always be my number one, but Jessica's probably number two. I feel like Jessica and Mandy actually hold number two together for me, and
Oh.
controversially, Christine is
Wow.
three.
Christina
Well,
is
three
number
slash
three.
four.
Three
Three
slash four.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
And
So,
and you're saying this on Christina's birthday as of this
Oh,
recording.
yeah, that is
wow.
Bold, Evan.
the
Bold.
as someone who is
What a
like
bitch.
a Britney stan,
Wow.
that's very on brand for me to say that on but
I
I do
know
love Christina Aguilera. Don't get me wrong, I do
I
love
know
her.
who's not coming on your podcast in 2024.
Christina, I love you. No, I think that Irresistible obviously is definitely in like the top like five for sure. And the Bow Wow remix. You know the Bow Wow
Yeah,
remix.
the bow, of
Okay.
course. Yeah.
We love
Okay,
Bow
but
Wow.
wait, Evan, not to go back to this, but where would Willa Ford rank on your
Ooh.
list?
Where is Willa Ford on my list? I mean, Willa Was Here is like one of my go-to comfort albums. I know that album inside and out. Like Pop Girls are like my thing. But Willa Ford, when it comes to pop, like she might be number five. Like she is
Mm,
definitely ranking
she's
high.
right there.
Then why didn't,
Yeah.
when you were redoing your apartment, why didn't she help? Because she does that now.
Do
So
you
if
know?
she's number five for you, why aren't you helping her get a check, Evan?
I
Right.
don't know if I
Yeah, I
can
want you to put your
afford.
money where your mouth is.
I
Right.
don't know if I can afford Willa Ford. When I was
You
at
know,
the Hollywood Reporter, actually, I I made a case to interview Willa Ford when she was on the Scott Disick show. I I like bent over backwards, like
Just that sentence also go on. Like,
anyways, so I had my interview moment with Willa Ford years ago and it was absolutely magical. But yeah, sadly, I don't think I can afford her interior decorating
you know
you know,
what's
services.
this is
interesting?
gonna sound gross of me to say right now, but sometimes I'll text her and she'll give me interior design advice a little because I interviewed her years ago and she's
Oh,
the
Was it
sweetest,
also
nicest.
for the Scott Disick show
Um, I
or
think
just
it,
for fun?
I think it was like right, I think it was before that because I remember her telling me about doing that show. So I think it was like she had been filming it or something, maybe.
wait, and
See,
that's also good to know she does like freelance consulting via text.
Well, yeah, when I just moved I mean, I moved like a year ago, but yeah, I was like sending her messages. I'm like, where do I get chairs and stuff? And she was always responsive.
Oh,
Yeah, she was great.
okay.
Yeah, and we became sort of friendly after doing that interview. And yeah, she was so sweet. But she had come over to my apartment. I no longer live there, but I remember her looking around, and I think she had told me to stop shopping at like TJ Maxx and stuff.
Okay.
but I feel like
She was very adamant about no more word art, of course, which I agree with. Not that I had
Yes.
a lot, but she was like, no word art.
I was gonna say any is too much.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I didn't have any. I want to make that clear, but I remember that was like a rule, of course.
and I love that you're following it. But speaking of Willa Ford, I actually heard from a little bird recently that some of the casting directors for Beverly Hills are like aggressively pursuing her. And
Yeah,
I
I had
don't
heard that too.
I don't know if
Yes.
she would do that, but I hope maybe you can text her. I hope she considers it because I do feel like she would
Wait.
bring a really fun energy to that group of women. I would just love to see her interacting with Denise Richards at the weed dinner. Like I
I
feel
know,
like
I
Or
know.
also her yelling at Erica Jane going song for song.
She's got the hot husband too,
oh,
and yeah,
yes.
I do think they might have like reached out years ago. Like around the time I interviewed her, I think they had at least like reached out to someone to see if she might even be open to it. But I don't,
Wait.
yeah, I would love that. I love when they throw in like a known person. I mean, Denise, I need Denise back full time after that whole jacket debacle. I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, give Denise a diamond.
And I mean, after Denise had that like two episode like golden moment, and then this like mid-season trailer that everyone's kind of like, okay. I think Denise, I feel like they're realizing that Denise might be the missing sauce just for the fun of it. Cause like they were
Mhm.
even like everyone was like kind of at their best with Denise acting like Denise because everyone was able to like be more silly, be confused, have all the elements that we love with it.
Yeah, I think it would behoove, oh, I hate that word, behoove all of the women because yeah, that you're exactly right. It gives them that common ground and it gives them something to play off of. So I'm sure it would be great for them.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, exactly, Danny. You're so right. Like the way it sort of her presence ignited Dorit, it got Dorit into a really fun, playful mode. And I feel like Dorit's actually been in a pretty
That's
good
silly.
space this season, like delivering some iconic lines, iconic moments. But wait, Danny Pellegrino, I need
Yeah.
your thoughts on Julia Roberts being severely unimpressed by the Pretty Woman date.
Wait, hold on. Did we answer your favorite Jessica song?
Oh.
Oh, Danny, we need that. What's your
Okay,
favorite?
I just need to
Oh,
make sure.
mine?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I feel like because I think Evan is too. I was the younger child, and my brother, valedictorian, everyone loved him. So like, I always related more to Ashley, and like,
Oh, okay.
I had a few
Yeah.
years of bad bangs, acne. I'm not saying she had acne. I just went through all this stuff, so I was very much autobiography. But my ringtone was Jessica Simpson's cover of "Take My Breath Away." So I think that might be, and I had it. It was my ringtone, and the instrumental was my ring back tone. No one called me because I was the Ashley Simpson. So I was just like waiting by the phone for no one to ring. So I think probably that was up there for me. And also, I want to love you forever because I do. I'm a ballads boy.
Where okay, two things I just would say. I want to love you forever. She has the most insane lyric where she says, I want to cherish every drop here on my knees," which is such a sexual lyric for a song that's whatever.
I
And
mean,
then
talk
wait, the
about
other
getting your appendix removed.
I
Go
know,
on.
but the last thing I have to say about Jessica is just that oh, I lost my train of thought. I guess I don't have something else to say. There was something good. Well,
Oh,
I
about
forget.
take my
I
breath away.
will.
Her covers.
Oh no, the cell phone ringer. My friend back in the day, Jessica did when she came out with Public Affair. You could buy a personalized ringer, and my best friend Jill had one where it would sing like Jillian's coming out for a public affair because you could buy the name.
Uh,
Anyway, okay,
okay,
thank you.
VCast. Wait,
I recently discovered that. I didn't know about that, but my manager, Nick, actually, we went to Miami recently this year and he had me listen to he still had it and he was like, "Nick is coming." I was like, "Oh my God, why did I not have an Evan version?" I was so devastated.
We need to get them now. We need
I
to get have her
I
bring them back.
have had a craving for like a throwback phone and a ringtone so badly. I'm like, because like I can't be like going into the woods foresting. I just want to go back to that time where like I have a sidekick with a fun ringtone and everything
Yeah.
is peaceful. It just makes me feel so
I
happy.
saw a picture of a woman from the 2000s where she had the Razor flip phone like on her
In the jeans.
waistband in
Yes.
like half in the jeans, and I got so nostalgic for just being able to put your phone like that. It was
I
like
got
kind of
nostalgic
slutty, do you know what I mean?
for a
let's
waistline I never had.
yeah.
Like me with my muffin top and my envy trying to clip it anywhere. I'm just like,
I
what's
know
going
I
on?
I had the big belt one. It was like the same one my dad had, and it's truly my biggest regret in life because I look at photos from college, and it was just I had a protruding cell phone, and like I didn't have it cool like Paris Hilton did. It was just like protruding off my belt.
But I'm sure when you put it on, you felt like Paris on occasion.
Right. Wait, Evan, I interrupted you again before I brought it back to Jessica Simpson, and that was
Wait,
terrible of me. I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. I could talk about Jessica
No,
Simpson all
honestly, I
day.
can.
I'd rather talk about Jessica Simpson than anything else in this world. I do remember what I was asking you, but before I ask you that, I actually want to know how you rank the four girls.
Oh,
Oh,
I would say probably uh Jessica's my number one. I love Jessica. She
uh-huh.
is, but Britney's like right there. I mean, music wise, I probably go back to Britney's catalog more than Jessica, but I love them kind of both a lot. And then I do, I mean, Look, this is hard. This is hard because
I just
Christina to me has burlesque, and
I
like
was also
burlesque
gonna
to me
say,
is
Christina, I am like you're so high up there for me because not just burlesque, Back to Basics was my favorite album of all
yeah.
time. I also bought Ain't No Other Man ringtone because I had a crush on my brother's friend. I got his number from my brother's phone, bought it for that. He didn't know who I was, so he would never call me.
Oh my
But in
God.
case he did, it would be that ringtone. Again,
Yeah.
like the Trevor Project, it gets better, but I had Ain't No Other Man.
Oh my
I
God.
feel like I'm just in the right place right now at the right, when you're sitting around and you're looking and thinking like, this is exactly where I'm meant to be in life. And feels like one of those moments.
It feels
Like,
filling.
but then yeah, Will is right. I mean, and Mandy, to me, her singing Only Hope and Walk to Remember. I mean, it's just impossible. I loved all the pop girls, but yeah, I'd say as of right now, Jessica, Brittany, Christina, Mandy. I'm sorry, but it changes every 5 minutes.
I will also say shout out to Mandy's now like kind of like acoustic moment because I love the man she's married to. And I was supposed to see her at a folk festival, but then she got pregnant, which happy for her. But she's also like in like a nice little like songwriter girl now.
Yeah. Yeah. She seems really sweet. I like her a lot. And
Wait,
I there was a girl that I went to grade school with who she came back from camp one year and Mandy Moore had just come out and she came back from summer camp and she's like, this girl Mandy Moore was there. And Mandy Candy had then just come out. And of course I was obsessed as like this closeted gay boy. I'm like, oh my God, she's got a song. And so I was obsessed with this girl I went to school with just because she was like tangentially went to camp once with Mandy Moore.
Wait, were you ever a Broadway boy growing up? Like, did you love show tunes too?
I loved the Rosie O'Donnell show, which that was like the way I got Broadway, but no, I didn't. I had never gone to Broadway or anything, but I loved when she would have like
Sutton
theater
Foster
people
singing
on.
Gimme Gimme. Yeah.
Yeah, like if Kristen Chenoweth was dressed as Charlie Brown, I was like ready in.
Yes. Okay, yes.
wait, Danny Murphy, how do you rank the girls? If Christine
Guys,
comes before Brittany,
no, it's Brittany then Christina.
okay.
But it's like neck and neck. Let me like it's a close one.
Okay.
Cause but like cause I like her because I just live for a ballad. Her like truly me like Frappuccino crying my eyes out to that. And then it's Jessica then Mandy.
Oh,
Mandy, I always was like, she's cute. I like her. She's
Yeah,
cute.
consistent. She was like consistently good. Like okay,
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. And I do.
yeah.
A Walk to
Okay.
Remember. I always remember that movie wrong, and I like really like. So I got so many plot points wrong from it. So then I was like embarrassed about that. So I like kind of like shelved her from my life because I kept on being like, oh my god, like when she lost her ear, and everyone's like, she never lost an ear, and I was like, I think I like watched the wrong movie, but I'm pretty sure I saw Walk to Remember. But so she's low there for me. I think because I guess my brain doesn't process her that much. But I gotta say, Christina's really deserving more respect than she's getting.
wow. Happy birthday, Christina.
Yeah,
Happy
from
birthday, Christina, from the Dannies, and
I,
yes,
I
the
not for
fighter music video.
Justice for Christina. I will say though, my number one is Mariah. I know we're not talking. She's maybe not included in that grouping, but my number one is always Mariah.
she she's just because like when you see her, you're like, oh, that like it's singing that like only she can do.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah, I feel
yeah.
like no one really compares to her. Although Danny knows this, Danny Murphy knows this. I ask everyone this question.
You're gonna
If
get so mad. Okay.
so my favorite question
I
to
love
ask
you both.
someone, because I feel like it says a lot about them as a person and not in a bad way or a good way. It just tells me kind of who they are. But if
You're
you
like
had
top or bottom? No.
no, if you had to choose one or the other, and this means the other girl, her entire discography, contributions to film and pop culture, it all gets erased. You can only choose one to stay. Who do you save? Obviously, you would choose Mariah, but the other girl in this equation is Jennifer Lopez. So it's like you can only choose Mariah or Jennifer
Oh
Lopez.
my.
Who do you save? Obviously, you two are saving Mariah, and I controversially again, I love Mariah Carey. I'll say it till I'm purple in the face, but I would choose Jennifer Lopez.
When you asking that
Wow.
question, it's like, would you rather have like air or a blanket? You know what I mean? Like you need one to live. A blanket's nice, but I'll
Yeah,
just get like a shawl. You know what I mean?
But see,
totally. I'm
I
about to
love,
close the laptop on you,
yeah.
Evan, right
No,
now. No.
But the thing is,
no,
I,
Danny. He asked me this, and I literally turned to him. The first thing I was like, "Are you kidding? Like,
How
what is the
dare you?
question?"
but I love an entertainer. Not that
You're
Mariah,
going right to hell.
but I love like choreography, and you don't even have to really sing. Like
No, I
he's my
know.
number one. Like you can lip sync.
Hey, put some respect on Ashanti. Go on.
That's so true.
He's
That
I
is
do
singing.
love, wait, okay, Danny Murphy, what's your favorite J-Lo project? Could be movie, song, if we had to choose, because that's what I'm thinking now. It's like, okay,
Okay, you
I
know what I
say
will
something nice
do?
about J-Lo. And I do love Hustlers Made in Manhattan, of course.
Okay. I
I told you I'm trying to be nice
you
about
you
J-Lo.
are you are the better Danny, and I applaud you for that. You know what I do love? That music video will always let my head get right.
Oh, yeah.
The little girl at the like na, 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 na,
and
na.
the abs. Oh,
Yeah, and
no.
also
There
I
were,
do kind of like the song she did with Cardi B a few years ago, Dinero. Like, is it good? I
yeah.
don't know, but it's silly.
There was a few years there where I really liked a lot of her music, like the On the Floor,
Mhm.
or was that with Pitbull? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
like,
I love that song in Girls. Go on.
And I will say, Waiting for Tonight, I think is one of the all-time greatest pop songs. All time.
there we go. Okay, thank you,
All
guys.
time.
But
Thank you.
also, then also, it's kind of like, okay, you released that right before Y2K. Okay, J-Lo. Okay.
She knew, yeah. Wait,
Yeah.
Evan, what do you think? Because you're a pop girly. Now all I want to do is talk pop music.
That's all we're
Um,
gonna
but
do.
what do you guys think are like some of the greatest pop songs of all time? Like it doesn't matter artists. Like what do you think is like I always think about Teenage Dream, Katy Perry. Like however I feel about Katy Perry, to me that's like a perfect pop song.
Or to finish my
Yeah,
question.
and like a perfect pop album. That album is so good, like
Uh,
front to back, start to finish.
and also that movie, the Part of Me tour,
Yeah, that
so
was
good.
good. That was a good moment for her. I mean, I feel like if I were, and I'm obviously a little bit biased because I'm like Britney's number one fan, but I think like the perfect pop song is Baby One More Time. I think it's the perfect
Mm.
single. It like actually changed the world. Like it objectively changed the world. So
A modern one, Into You by Ariana Grande. Whenever that comes on, I'm like, it's just so earworm candy perfect. And no matter what she's getting up to in the press, I do like her. You
yeah,
know,
so
even if she's, she can't help falling in love.
and like any Janet Jackson song, like
Yes.
every decade, every era, and of course like Madonna. Like I don't know.
Wait, are
Uh,
you going to the Madonna concert, Danny?
I'm not. No, I would love to, but no, I'm not going. I
It's
would
a big
love to.
no, yeah.
I had
Madonna,
tickets.
I like a Madonna ballad. Like I know
Oh,
people love
Take a
her pop
bow.
stuff, but
take a
Take a Bow or Rain, or I just like a slower Madonna.
like
Mm.
Secret's good.
Secret. Oh, love it.
Oh, that's happened. Well, that's why, because I was gonna say a perfect pop. Like she's not really a pop girl, but Barbara Streisand to me, like she was my middle school, like
Oh, I thought you were
on
gonna
loop.
say Countess Luann.
Well, I mean,
Wait, on this podcast, she said she gives Beyonce, so I guess she's more R&B
Wait,
than
okay, wait, not to bring us back to Housewives, but like what's the craziest thing a housewife has said on your show?
okay,
that.
the craziest thing,
Luann said she's
if,
more Beyonce than Taylor Swift.
That has to be up there for
and that
sure.
was like Danny Murphy's like genius question. He was like, we had the Countess come on to like promote her upcoming cabaret tour, and he's like, so like Taylor and Beyonce are like really slaying this year. If you were to like compare yourself to one of those girls, like who would it be? And like in full serious Countess mode, she was like, I'm probably more Beyonce because the costumes were more costumey. Um,
She goes, but I love Taylor.
yeah, she was like, but Taylor's fab.
Oh, oh.
But I think the craziest thing was about a year ago, we had Brandy Glanville on the podcast, and we were talking about pop music. Because at the time, it was around Christmas time, and I was kind of like getting into Leanne Rimes again. I was just having this like Leanne Rimes December. And so I was
Seasonal
like,
depression.
Leanne Rimes December. That's like the name of your memoir.
yeah. So I was like, Danny, we just have to ask her like what her favorite Leanne Rimes song and see what happens. And she was like, oh, I don't have one. I don't listen to country music. And I was like, well, you gotta love Can't Fight the Moonlight. I mean, come on. I feel like you were a girl who likes Coyote Ugly. And then she said the thing about Piper, which she had said on your podcast previously. And then it like we didn't know that. And then I remember her being like, calm down. I already told Danny Pellegrino this. At the time, we thought it was like our big exclusive.
Well, but
But
she said it, yeah, she said it on my show when I first started my show that about the poster. Is that what you're talking about? They had like,
Oh
wait,
no,
did
that
she say that
Piper
part too?
Parabo slept. Yeah, that she slept with Eddie and everything.
Well, yeah, and she had said in on my show something about like she Leanne and Eddie had a poster of Coyote
Oh
Ugly in the house or
yes,
yes.
something, and
Mhm.
that Leanne may or may not have known that there was a situation with Piper and Eddie. Yeah, but it didn't. I remember that like was very early on in my podcast, and I was shocked that it didn't become like a thing because it was so surprising to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes something happens, and some things, as you guys know, it's like you can't imagine why it gets picked up, and then other things get picked up or that you think should get picked up, no one cares
Oh,
about.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we just had Heidi Montag on the podcast and she told us about this like secret Britney Spears collab that got scrapped. And
I saw you that from your interview. I
I
saw
thought,
that.
I thought
Yeah.
that was going to get picked up everywhere, but I feel like only the three of us care about that.
No, I saw that picked up. I saw that picked up somewhere, or
Did?
maybe
Okay.
for a clip, or was it? Did you guys post a clip of that online? I saw that somewhere of
Hopefully.
I'm glad you
that.
saw it somewhere because I,
Yeah,
Somewhere.
it is somewhere. So maybe
okay,
it's just
good.
it's ruminating. It'll be somewhere else.
Yeah.
The thing I always think with Countess Luann interviewing her is like all you really have to do is mention Bethany's name and you'll get like a pretty good soundbite from her. Like you don't even really have to do a whole ton of work there. Last time I interviewed her, I started to say like something about Bethany and she was like writing notes, like she's on Zoom and I saw her like kind of write something. So she was like writing down, I think, like what she wanted to say about Bethany. Like,
I
and then launched into it. It was like so good.
live for that.
She's
You can even
a,
say it to her on Ultimate Girls Trip, and then she'll freak the out too.
Right. Like just say the name and you're gonna get something out of her. That's gonna be
Sonia
gold.
walked into hot water with that.
yeah, she's a pro. Wait, thoughts on the Roni girl trip?
Oh, I love it so far. I love those gals, and I think Kristen is really interesting. Diane, she's come into her own in a way that has been surprising. And yeah, I'm excited to see more. I just want more. I ate those 3 episodes up like quickly, and I wish I would have savored them a little bit, but yeah.
I also hope it's now going to be a thing where they do like, cause like the first girls trip was so much fun because it was a lot of OGs, and this one is fun because it's all people that they do know each other. So it's not a lot of like, oh, so what with you and rehashing stuff that's already been discussed. Like they go right into new things, but also fighting about things 10 years ago, but we saw them fight about it. So it's fun to watch them fight about it. I want this now to just be what they do with every franchise where we just bring back all the ladies for a fun little getaway.
Yeah, like let them take a trip. I also would like to see this group at Bluestone. I know we
Ooh.
had that other horror show season 2 at Bluestone. To me was like peak TV, that whole season where they locked them all up in that haunted house, and I loved it. So I need them to do that with the Roni Legacy. And yeah, I'm happy if they just keep doing these trips once a year with the Roni women. Or I would prefer a little bit longer. I like that idea of like doing that legacy show that's not just like a trip. I like that
Yeah.
idea, but if they can't work that out, like at least give us one of these trips a year.
Especially because when we were talking to Kelly earlier, and she said, because at the heart of our show, it's a love story to New York. We need to be in New York to show the love story.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I agree with Kelly. Can't believe I said that, but
this
I
week, Kelly. Yeah.
Kelly's right. Kelly's
Wait,
speaking facts.
speaking of Bravo veterans, Alexis Bellino, she hard launched with John Jansen this week.
Guys,
What do you
you
think of
guys,
Alexis
okay.
and John?
I feel grateful that you asked me this because I haven't really gotten to get any of this off my chest because it's so clearly a ploy and a play to get on the show, right? Like it's so obvious, it's so over the top. Even the photo of them kissing, it felt like they're just kissing for that one photo to be circulated on the internet. Like I saw video of it, I felt like they were waiting for that flash to go off, and then they were like, okay. So it's all so obvious. I think that John, even before Alexis entered the Alexis Con, sorry, that was a terrible joke.
How dare you? How dare you?
You guys cut off my mic.
But I like it.
Okay, J-Lo, your mic's cut off.
Alexis Con, I'm sorry.
Her
Okay.
mic is always cut off.
Um, so yeah, I think even before that, it was clear that like John liked the cameras, and that was alleged on the show last season. And so now this just feels even so much more aggressive. I think it's very aggressive on Alexis's part. With all of that said, though, like yeah, I want it. Like I'm buying into it. I want them to bring Alexis back, and I want to see Shannon's reaction to all of this because I do worry about Shannon's overall health though, because this is not going to be good for it. Like this is to me on par if they bring in Alexis to the show, which I do want, but it's kind of on par with like what they did on Married to Medicine of bringing Quad's ex and new significant other on. Like it's kind of gross when you take too far of a step back from it because Shannon's been on the show forever, and it's like you're going to bring on the woman. I don't know. So it is gross, but I do want to see it. Does that
And
make
who,
sense?
oh, 2000%, because we all want to see how everyone will react and digest it and go with it. Who do you think between John and Alexis, who's the thirstier one? And because they both are kind of tied with that, are they kind of a match made in not heaven, but a match together?
I'd say John is thirstier. I'm always going to side with the woman in if it's between a woman and a straight man. I'm almost always. So yeah. So I'd say he's definitely thirstier and I do not care for him.
No.
Wait, speaking of Orange County, Danny Pellegrino, I think I manifested this year because it's something that weighed on my mind forever and always for like the longest time. But you calling Gina and Emily hip and casita, I I love I it's funny. It's funny to me. I appreciate it, but I also love Gina and Emily so much. And so I always thought like, what do they think of that? Does it hurt their feelings? Can they laugh at it? And so I did this thing where it was like 24 hours with the cast of Orange County Housewives, and I had lunch with Gina and Emily and Heather. Heather had to go. I was just hanging with Gina and Emily. We were eating tacos, and I was like, by the way, girls, I have a burning question. Danny Pellegrino,
You messy gay.
I was like,
Yes.
he calls you hip and casita. Like, do you care? Does it hurt your feelings? How do you feel about it? And they were like, it doesn't really bother us. Like, of all the things that we've been called, like hip and casita isn't the worst thing. And then Gina did your podcast and you guys talked about it. And it was just so nice to have that closure. It doesn't matter that you call her casita. She's owning her casita. She finds power. She's reclaiming her casita label. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed that moment that I feel like I
You
manifest.
manifested it. Yes, yes. And we at BravoCon too, I moderated the Orange County panel. And when there were questions from the audience, I think the very first question was about Hip and Casita and how they feel about the nickname. So they both said there too publicly, like, yeah, it's fun, it's fine. And no matter what on my show, like it's all silly. Like I have kind of very silly nicknames for a lot of the women, and they really just come out of like I do my recaps alone on my show. And so I'm talking like a mile a minute for an hour. I don't even know half the things I say, and I'm looking at like scattered notes. So sometimes if I'm forgetting someone's name, I'll just shout out like what's going on. And so on Orange County, of course, they kept saying her casita. So it just made it was like a funny thing because they kept mentioning casita. And then hip was just because in her tagline, she yells hip, like in the middle of that one season, or she goes, new hip. And it's like that was in the middle of her tagline. It just was like an audio clip of her in a field being like, new hip. So I was like, of course their names are Hip and Casita. But what's so interesting is like I don't have nicknames for everyone on the shows, but at BravoCon there were housewives coming up to me being like, "What's your nickname for me?" And it's like I don't have one, and like some of them wanted nicknames. So
Oh.
anyway, but I don't know if I feel like Hip and Casita have embraced it now, but I hope they know that it's all a lot of love and silliness. And I did also get to sit down at BravoCon and chat with Gina, like kind of off stage and stuff, and just like chat with her about it. And I was like, yeah, it's just silly and fun. Like I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. And obviously if I wanted to hurt someone's feelings, I would say something meaner than just the word that just kept coming up because I don't even associate it with her like owning a casita. I just associated with her, them saying that every second on the show. It was like that's what was funny to me. It was like everybody kept saying, Gina, how's your casita? Or this is my casita, like that word, which I had never heard in my whole life.
Never.
Just all of a sudden, every second on the show. Or it was like on The Bachelor, the one season I watched of The Bachelor, it was like at La Quinta Inn. I don't even know if I'm saying that now, but it was like
Wait, you
I had
watched
never heard of the La Quinta Inn before, and
there.
now they're showing it every second.
Yeah, that was Tasha and Claire season, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was like oddly tapped into that season as well, and I remember your recaps and really enjoying them. And I also remember you being like, Bachelor Nation, I didn't know you were this toxic. Let me not
It
anymore.
was a lot. It was a
And
lot.
that
I had never dipped into that world before, and I was like, let me just recap a season. I think it was during the pandemic, and yeah, that fan base is intense.
Yeah, it is really intense. Wait, I
So
just
is
remember.
Bravo too, by the way.
I was gonna
But
say, I'm like, yeah, and that's saying something for you to be like, oh my god, the Bachelor franchise is intense.
The question that I was going to ask you before we got back into Jessica Simpson world just came back to me, and it was about Julia Roberts going on Watch What
oh
Happens
yeah.
Live and saying she was severely unimpressed by PK's Pretty Woman inspired date for Dorit. What are your reactions to Julia sort of dragging PK, and then also were you impressed by the Pretty Woman date? I
No,
was. Uh,
oh, see, I totally agree with Julia. I think it was just it was too let's call it something else, or let's let's get the details right. Like that's how I felt in regards to it. And the idea of Julia Roberts watching Beverly Hills Housewives though is like almost too much for me to handle. I don't know.
I
It's a lot.
also because I also then I saw online that like it's a package you get there. Like it's not like it made the love kind of
Oh,
I could be completely
What?
making this up out of me.
it's
I
okay.
saw the same way that I remember a Walk to Remember. I think I remember reading that
You know
you
what?
can like request the Pretty Woman package at the hotel. Sorry, Kai, if I'm wrong. And that kind of took a lot of the love out because I was like, I guess he tried, but I was like, oh, that's not even trying. And I'm like, where's like the most memorable moment of it? The bathtub with the Walkman.
And by the way, when you take it an even further step back or further farther, but you realize too, production and producers would have had to clear that, and so it was probably their idea
Oh, that's
to do
yes.
that. So it's like even takes more of the romance out of it.
I will say Dorit looked stunning in her Julia cosplay.
Yeah,
She
yeah, she did.
looked
She
Stunning.
did.
And I love the brunette. I love the brunette.
You know, I'm falling in love with Dorit for the first time in years because there were a lot of seasons where I just thought she was flopping hard and she wasn't offering much. That I loved her when she first joined the show, but then it just felt like we got in a weird place where she was like afraid to kind of be herself, and it feels like she's stepping more. And I know there was one season, of course, disregarding the robbery. Of course, I understand why she might have been more guarded that season, but even before then, I felt like she was a sanitized version of the Dorit that we first got to know, and it feels like she's stepping back into that original Dorit. So I'm like loving her this season
He's
in a
Pink
way that I
Friday too.
hadn't.
Yeah, she's like fully clocked in this season, which
Yeah.
I do love to see. I think it might have been the hair change. I don't know if people just feel maybe she feels sassier as a brunette. I'm not sure, but
Are you guys liking Erica Jane this season?
Laughing.
Me
yeah,
too.
I'm
Because
enjoying
I
it.
just love so much when she's like, I see an electricity bill and I shudder as she's in head to toe Fendi Louis Vuitton. I'm like, I dream to be that.
Oh, it's so
Like,
good. It's
it's
so good.
Really
heaven.
sad that I missed her residency though. I really wanted to see it. So, and I think it's done now. But I don't know. I don't
I
know if I
think
should
it is done.
think about this,
I saw
but
her once in Vegas pre-residency.
how was it?
Like this was years ago.
Did you like
There were plenty of seats available. I mean, it was like
You
no,
know
Okay, so
what?
I'm being shady. It was during Pride, and so I think it was just
You're not
it was
helping
like
her.
Las Vegas Pride or something. So yeah, it should have been more crowded now that I'm saying it was Las Vegas Pride.
But you know what? Because Broadway
But we
seats
had
are
a great
so
time. She
tight.
was great.
Okay. And I would like to have the way ability to spread out and
Yeah, it
dance.
was like an empty floor. There weren't even seats. It was like a one of those like you just it was like a warehouse or something, like it with a stage, and it was just pretty empty. But once she performed, it was so much fun, and like we had a great time. And again, this was like very early on in her Beverly Hills run, so it's not like she was super famous or anything. So yeah, I wonder what year that was that I went, but I went with a couple of friends when I was in Vegas, and it was like an empty warehouse, and we were waiting
You're like, it
forever
was
for her
off
to
the
come out.
strip.
I think it probably was.
I saw her once live years before she was even on Housewives. And Danny, I feel like you'll really like
Oh,
this story. But it was my freshman year at Marymount Manhattan College in New York City, and it was December. It was a cold night in December, and I did not have a fake ID at the time. But she was
Just
performing.
listening. It was your Leanne Rhymes December, so you were
Yeah,
listening to Can't Fight the Moonlight.
exactly. Yeah, this was my pretty mess December. As you know, I love a pop girl, and the more obscure they are, the better. And at that time, Erica Jane was very obscure. So I knew that she was performing at Splash. I needed to find an ID. I found my ID. I went down to Splash, my little tank top in the middle of December,
mhm.
and I saw her perform live. But guess who she was opening for at Splash?
Oh,
Kim Zolciak. She was
oh
the
my God.
opening act for Kim Zolciak, and it was the best night of my life. But it's just like
Sure.
so crazy that like Erica Jane was the opening act for Kim Zolciak.
That's
But it was an
wild.
electrifying show, and the energy in the room was just.
And then you got a fake
And
ID to use for
I
eons
got a big
after.
ID
I don't
again.
know. I'm probably older than the two of you, but there's a place in Los Angeles called Pop Stars back in the day where you guys know what I'm talking about. Do you?
I
No.
never was an LA
Oh, it
boy, so
was
I have no
okay.
clue.
So it was called Pop Stars. It was in West Hollywood, and basically like the gals when they were on the come up would go there. So you'd get like an Erica Jane, but even back in the day, you'd get like Lady Gaga or Nicki Minaj, or but it was so random because on a Friday night the girls would go there and debut a new song. So when Till the World Ends, do you remember when she did the Nikki? It was
Yeah.
like they
I
were
ain't
there
talking,
that,
yeah.
and you would just get that you would get texts like on Friday evening, like Britney's going to be at Pop Stars tonight, like, and no one really knew what time or if it was real or if it was like a rumor. Or I felt like Kelly Rowland was there every weekend. It was like Kelly
Kevin,
Rowland was always there doing, and they would do one song. But it was so exciting because it was just like you didn't
wait.
know that. So occasionally, like they would pre-announce it or you would know in advance. But sometimes with like the bigger pop girls, you would just find out that day, or you would go dancing there, and then you would hear whispers around the dance floor of like Sierra's on our way in. Like
Not
everyone would
Sierra's on her,
flip
the chills I
out. Like
just got.
yeah, and like gay men would flip out. Like if you were in a straight club and you're like, is Sierra when she wasn't in her prime.
They're like, Sierra missed? What?
Yeah,
No, I'm
yeah,
okay.
they would leave. They're like, oh, we don't want to hear this. But like the gays would be like, yeah, like everyone would lose their shit. And like it was
I
the
need to
best
do
time.
some research. This
Wait,
sounds
It no
amazing.
longer
also,
exists anymore, but it was the
Evan,
best early, they were probably the early 2010s or around there.
wait, if that was around now, your girl Tate McRae would be there.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love Tate McRae. Are you loving Tate McRae? Are you into
Yes,
it?
yes,
Oh
yes.
God, I just everything about her. It's like Britney's spirit like inhabited her body. And then
Inhabited Amanda Batula's body, because that's
yeah,
who she
I know she looked just like
She
Amanda
looks
Batula.
just like, oh my God, I never thought of that. She
Isn't
looks
that
just like
wild?
her.
Yeah, every
Yeah.
time I see her, I'm like, it's like Britney dancing, but like Amanda Batula face card.
Are you guys watching The Winter House?
Yeah, we are watching, and
Are
it's
you?
It got. I'm like, it was a slow, like it was snowballing, and now I'm like fully invested in the chaos of it. Danielle is really giving her all to it, which I
Oh
support
my
and
God.
commend. But like, it's a, yeah.
It's
what
good TV, but it's cringed. Everything Danielle's doing, I'm like, Danielle, girl.
When when she was like after screaming at Brian, then she was like, "Do you think he likes me?" I'm like, I flash back to like college. I was like, "Oh my God,
Yes. Yeah. And that's
no."
why it's so triggering, is because I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I've probably done that with guys before, but
oh
it's like so embarrassing.
totally, totally. Yeah, she just did our live show and I told her before the show started, I was like, look, like it's I feel for you, girl, because in those moments, like right after a breakup, like when you are in the throes of heartache, you make the most terrible decisions that you like literally like thinking about some of the decisions I made during like post breakup mess, like I like recoil like at the thought, like I can't even deal with it. Like I have to like black it out to actually like make peace with it. So I feel for her, and unfortunately she has to watch it on Winter House and then talk about it at the reunion. But I cannot wait for the reunion. It sounds like it's gonna be a mess.
I know. How are they going to fit all them people in the clubhouse? Because it's in the clubhouse. And like, what are we doing it there for? That
I
Yes.
is
was
too
so
small of a
confused.
room.
Yeah.
There's 700 fucking people in that cast. Like,
And also, it's
how
funny,
are they
like,
doing it?
I love like Casey Craig has a great outfit. I'm like, does she have to squash a lot of stuff? I guess with Sam, but I feel like she's like, I could just vibe in the audience and watch and chill.
I know. I get mad that they're all lusting over like Alex and stuff when Brian is right there because I like love
Um,
Brian.
he's so
Annie,
cute.
I like am infatuated with him,
He's so
and
cute.
he
Yeah.
dresses so well, has amazing accessories, always in red bottoms, and I'm just like, this man should have the wife and kids that he wants.
Okay, but what I feel like a lot of us gay men who watch Bravo, we like Brian. But
Oh
I
yeah.
feel like none of the women on there are liking him. And I'm like, what is that? Is he just maybe meant for the gay? I mean, I'm not saying he's gay, but like, is he just something that we see that like other people,
Maybe.
the straight
Yeah.
women don't like?
For whatever reason, he does appeal to those gay sensibilities. I feel like it's that tight little body, that cute face.
And
He's
also calling his mom getting a Forever 21 order. I'm just like, this is,
Okay. Yeah. So
yes.
we solved the riddle. This is it actually makes sense now that we're talking it through because the whole time I'm watching, I'm like, what are all the girls like lusting after Corey for? Like Brian is right there.
I know. I do think also, unfortunately, straight women prioritize height,
They really
and
do.
Brian is a cute little
Short
petite
king.
man.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm also a short king. I'm only 5'7", so but for whatever reason, like there is a larger portion of gay men who don't care about that.
Mhm.
You know, like I feel like women just like care about height for whatever reason.
Yeah. It needs to shift.
It needs to
Yes.
shift. Let's
Women
start
need to
the shift.
start embracing the short kings because he's too nice of a guy and he also just also very hot too. I mean,
Yes.
Yes.
but he
Yes.
He's a
seems
perfect
sweet.
package.
Yeah, I'm like he seems so sweet. And then someone like Corey, where especially that what's her name, Sam, he's like throwing her under the bus every chance it's embarrassing. And same with Danielle lusting after Alec or any of these other guys. I'm like, they're throwing you under the bus. It's so embarrassing for you. Or I look back to the Kyle and Amanda days. Obviously, they're good now, but like it was embarrassing when he was just cheating and like it's on national TV. Like, have some respect for yourself. And so there's this nice hot man in the house, and you're all going after these horrible men.
Making you dinner, having a lovely time, wanting to like check in on you. I know. And then when like Corey was giving him advice, I was like, do not listen to his advice, Brian.
No,
Never
run, Brian.
change.
I know. I know we're saying this, and probably next time we see Brian, he'll be a monster like the rest of them. But
But you know, if
at this
that
moment,
at this moment, for a moment.
yeah, never praise the straight men on Bravo because it always comes to bite you in the ass. But here we go.
That is true.
That's so true. Wait,
And not in the fun way.
before we wrap up, Danny, who
Wait,
would
who
you?
do you think is the hottest Bravo guy?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna ask.
Oh,
Like,
okay,
who
sorry.
is our hottest Bravo guy? Okay, Danny Murphy, you go first.
I mean, you don't like, I have been texting Evan about Brian a lot. So, like, he really is high, high up for me. I also like, and like maybe my 2024 resolution, like, I should get therapy. I like think like I would just like I feel like Schwartz like I could fix it.
Wow, I was
I
not
think
expecting that.
I think I could fix him.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
I think so. But
He's
Evan, you're not going to
I would
say
want
Schwartz too, are you?
I would
me?
want Brian, but I could fix Schwartz.
No, I'm not gonna say Schwartz, although I will say whenever I
Okay.
interacted with Schwartz in person, he does have a very beautiful face and he is
That's
so
perfect.
charming and so sweet. And I understand why he gets away with so much shit because there's just something very likable about him. But my hottest Bravo guy, and this isn't an original response whatsoever, but Evan Goldschneider from New Jersey Housewives is so hot. And like I did the New Jersey panel at BravoCon like 2 years ago, and he was on my panel, and Evan Goldschneider in a suit is just like where it is at. And then I recently did like an at-home shoot with Jackie, and Evan was there, and he was like taking care of Jackie and like making sure she was cool and bringing her food and telling her she looked beautiful. And I was just like, will you bring me food and tell me I look beautiful too? It was oh, it's he's too much. But who's your
Oh,
top guy?
Wait, Danny, what were you going to
oh,
say?
I was gonna say with that, like a husband who like rides for the person. I also like this. People don't say this like Tyra Dubrow. Like you want to just be rich and buy me things and have my back
Danny,
forever and ever, please, and give me plastic surgery. Done.
I'm
you have bold
attracted to Terry.
takes, Danny. Wait,
Oh,
I'm
you're
attracted
bold
attracted
to
to
boy.
Terry
Terry. Yeah,
too?
yeah. I would
Oh, bold boy.
bend it over for
What?
Dr. Terry real quick.
Remember earlier when I said I'm in the right place where I'm exactly where I'm
Oh, you're in
supposed
the
to
wrong
be?
place.
Now I'm in the bad place. It all turned to the upside down. No, I
Okay, but
am
who's yours?
I'm back on the Craig Southern
Mm.
Charm train. I was off that train for a little while because I hated him on the show. But to me, he's so handsome in person. In person, and it's not. This isn't original either. I feel like everybody says this all the time, but he's much hotter in person. He's like you can't tell how tall he is. Not that again, I like a short king, but yeah, there's something. Craig's got like something that I'm
And
very attracted to.
I don't know if I'm just gonna say like allegedly, thinking allegedly. His face is looking amazing, and I'm not sure if he's doing light little touches. Like if Paige has someone because I when he was on Watch What Happens Live, I was like, I want like his structure is looking
Oh,
beyond.
now I'm gonna go look.
Yeah, it
Yes.
looks like there has been some light injectable work going on, and like Danny Murphy said, it is very tasteful, and I agree with you. I think he's so hot. I've actually never experienced him in person, but just from what I see on camera, I'm feeling it.
Evan, you would be surprised in person. Like
I,
he's like
Mm.
gorgeous.
I
It's weird. I don't get why it is a big shift, but normally it's not that big of a shift, right?
Yeah.
Like they look sort of like they do on TV mostly. But
well,
to
I'm
me,
ready to be
it's yeah.
surprised. Greg surprised me in person
Okay.
anytime.
Head down to Charleston. You're
Yeah.
close right now. You're like,
Gertie's husband's very hot too in
oh,
Miami. Like Russell is very hot to me. Always. I was just about to say always has been, like as if I had known him forever, but I just know the one photo they show from their time together back in the day.
No, he's
So he's
cute.
always been hot.
and
Him
talk
saying
about
your
has her
problems are
back
my
forever.
problems, like oh,
Danny, this is gonna bite you in the ass too, because you just said has his back forever, has her back forever. And you better timestamp this because I just feel like one, we don't know. We don't know. They always
it
But
is
you
they
know
always
what?
turn. So in
18.
a season or two, you might want to find this clip because
And,
maybe,
and
I'm
then if
just
Russell
saying.
ends up biting me in the ass, ay,
Hey,
por favor.
yeah. Oh my God, Danny Pellegrino, thank you so much
Thank
for
you for
taking
having
time.
me.
This was a most fabulous hour of
Truly was
our
needed.
lives. The best
I
way
know.
to end the year. And like you said, this is the last day that we're all like mentally with it. So
Yeah,
glad
thank
that
you for
we
having
experienced
me.
it with you.
And anyone who's listening, go get my book. It's a holiday season right now. So if you're off work, there's an audiobook if you just want to listen while you're kind of in a food coma or getting stoned on the couch. Just get The Jolliest Bunch wherever you get your books because I need to keep the lights on at my house. So buy the book.
Do it
Yes,
for Willa Ford.
Do it for Willa.
You
Willa
need
was
lights on to
here.
help you decorate.
do it for Willa and do it for St. Claudia of Reseda. If like we got to give her props, man. I need a movie about that, by the way.
I'm trying. I'm trying.